वक्रतुण्ड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। ओम साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ओम जयन्ती मंगलकाली भद्रकाली कपालिनी दुर्गा क्षमा शिवदात्री स्वाहा स्वधा नमोस्तुते। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। साईराम लेन साईराम from Malaysia.
Sairam Sharma. Sairam from New Zealand. And welcome to our listeners. Thank you, Swami, for allowing Sharma and I to share some stories about what I would call the power to choose. And the name of our topic is, I know what is good, but I don't want to do it. Now, this sounds like something you would hear in a modern day conversation with just about anybody these days, but actually that is a quotation from the Mahabharata. It was written thousands of years ago by the author, and the actual translation goes like this: I know what is good, but I am not inclined to do it. I know also what is bad, and oh, how I want to do it. I just do as I am prompted to do by something in my heart. And that is in the Mahabharata. So even the fellow who was writing this most sacred Hindu text wanted to do some bad things. Who doesn't? Even as a child, we get so much pleasure from doing something naughty. I was one of the worst. I used to like to do pranks because I had a father who did not have a sense of humor. He had been a pilot in World War II, and I think he came back from that war an angry man. And I was always trying to make him laugh, but my idea of a prank was not one that made him laugh. For example, I put salt in the sugar bowl. That did not go down well. And we had spankings in our family. So once when he was going to spank me for being naughty, I stuck some books down my pants so that when he smacked me, he hurt his hand. I thought that was hilarious, but he didn't think so. So as children, we are always sometimes getting a lot of pleasure out of being naughty. And what is it that gives us that thrill? Even when people are grown up, I have had teenagers and young adults tell me, oh, I know I shouldn't have done that, but I did it, and it felt good. And I think there's even a couple of pop songs with that theme. So what is it that makes us do bad things and get a thrill from doing it? Now, there were several books that came out in the 70s, and they were along the lines of, why do good people do bad things? Or why do bad things happen to good people? They were bestsellers. So this is obviously an eternal question. Why is it that even though we are trying to be good, we want to do bad things? Well, Swami says, the day when the individual gives up his bad habits, he will truly know his true self. His true self will blossom. So Swami describes our goodness as like a blossom, like a tight bud that finally unfolds into a beautiful flower. A good person doing a bad thing is a good person acting from emotion, Swami says, rather than rational thought. So they are acting with free will, but their reasoning is cloudy. Aristotle, the Greek philosopher, considered character to be the most important part of man or woman. Character. And Swami has often said the end of education is character. Character. What is character? Character are simply your good qualities. So even a flawed good man still wants to occasionally do bad things. because their emotions take over. Emotions, what are emotions? Your feelings, frustration, anger, hatred, greed. We used to like to rob the candy jar, the lolly jar, the sweets jar. We knew we weren't supposed to do it as children. My sister and I found a way to climb up on a ladder while my mother was out hanging clothes in the backyard. We worked together as a team. We would get the lid off the jar, which was well out of our reach, and myself, being the taller one, would drop the sweets down into my sister's apron, and we'd run away and stuff them in our face and eat them till we were sick. Now, we were good girls, but we would do bad things. Now, they weren't really bad. I mean, this is, where do you draw the line between being naughty and being outright criminal? That's a big yardstick to go by. But there has always got to be some degree of morals. Swami's very big on morals. And that is, what you are born with the human values. This is not something that can be taught. The values are impressed in your heart. They come with you into this world. And it's ideal that you have a good teacher, a parent, a Balvika's guru, an SSEHV teacher who helps draw these out of you. Because undisciplined, they will just sit there. They'll still be there in your heart, but they will not have blossomed. This is the difference. And so when we are trying so hard to be good, it's as though when we were children, it's like, oh, well, I was good Friday and Saturday, but on Sunday I was bad. We keep little scorecards. I know one person who puts a notch in their belt every time they do something bad. And when I mean bad, I mean really bad. Like, and this was not a person who I was very fond of. He was a hunter, and he used to like to put a notch in his belt every time he killed an animal. He was a good man, but he liked to kill animals, and he couldn't help himself. He didn't do it to eat the meat. He liked to just do it so he would have a trophy to put on the wall. This is not something that you want to do, because Swami said, sooner or later, the forces of nature will turn on a bad man. And you often see this with hunters who suddenly get shot by their own gun, or a fisherman who drowns, or, well, I don't want to go into too many of these bad scenarios, but Swami was clear that even earthquakes and floods happen in areas where the ground has been polluted by the suffering of animals. During our Christchurch earthquake, the building that sustained the most damage was a 7-story building where the buying and selling of animals for meat and export was conducted. The building was completely pancaked, and most of the people who were in it were killed. So you see, there are consequences to being bad. Swami is quite clear that, and in fact I spoke about this in another talk, that there are 4 kinds of bad, so no need to rehash them here. But bad often comes by keeping bad company, because the vibrations, the negative vibrations that come off of bad people, it can just be in a room of people you don't even know. It can tarnish you. And so Swami recommends Gayatri Mantra for constant cleansing of the atmosphere around you. In the shower, you can do the 21 ohms, which are constantly cleansing all 21 points in the body, mind, and spirit in all 5 sheaths. There are a number of spiritual practices that help keep us in a sattvic state. So when you think about good and bad, there's one other thing that I always remember Swami telling. He said, good and bad are like the 2 sides of a coin. The coin is gold. There is a picture on one side, you call it good. There is another picture on the other side, you call it bad. The pictures do not affect the value of the coin. Think about this, because there has to be some balance of good and bad in the world. As we know, Lord Vishnu keeps the balance eternally. 2/3 good in the world, 1/3 bad. If things look bad at the moment, it's often because the media blows it up and it looks like the world is 2/3 bad and 1/3 good, maybe not even that ratio. But there is always 2/3 good in the world, 1/3 bad. Besides, Swami said, if everything was good, God would get bored. He would have nothing to do. He would have no play to watch. If we do something that we feel sorry for, Swami says it is quite normal to make a mistake once or twice. Simply acknowledge you have done something wrong that is not dharmic. Ask forgiveness. Say, I won't do that again. I will work hard on not doing that again. He said, but if you keep making the same mistake, it becomes a habit, and habits become harder to break the older you get. Sending loving Sai Rams to all our listeners. Om Shri Sai Ram.
Om Shri Sai Ram. तस्मात् कारुण्य भावेन रक्ष रक्ष साईश्वरा. हरि ओम तत्सत् श्री साईश्वरार्पणमस्तु. ओम शांति शांति शांति.